Ooh, okay. One that stood out. Self-care versus overindulgence, right? So I have this thing of like, I understand, like, yes, take care of yourself, and wanting people to do the things that make them happy. Um, but I also know that we live in such an abundant world that at times we can fall over into overindulgence of that self-care. And like I find that in like men with working out per se, like yes, that is self-care, but then it becomes to a point where like you're an addict for the gym squeeze, or women with makeup, like, yeah, face wash and some eyeliner, whatever that looks like for you, don't whatever, but then also when it becomes like when you look at the numbers and how much money is actually spent on like makeup, it's like, are we overindulging? What does that mean? I gotta Google that. I say that. Wow. Oh, do they? That's interesting. That's got to be some intrigue. Thanks. I've never noticed. I don't get to look at them that often. Yeah, the line between addiction and health, and like, it's such a taboo thing talking about addiction, and like no one wants to be an addict whilst everyone's pretty much an addict, you know? It's interesting, super, because like you got to acknowledge the problem for the problem to get better. We do a lot of hiding, which like understandable. Like I'm not here to force anybody to do anything, but like I definitely notice we got a lot of beating around the bush. The leaves are falling off, it's not healthy in my estimation. English teachers tend to be the worst with that. There was the whole thing about ain't a while back. Um that's interesting. Catching catching the English teacher on the loose one. But do you spend enough money for it to be qualified as an addiction? And also, I had an English teacher who told me the English language is always evolving, and so if someone can understand you, then like it's proper, which I think was such an insightful take, right? Because I'm sure that there were people who like Shakespeare, get out of here with that. Like, what are you even saying? Like that, what you're trying to make something catch on, it's not gonna happen, you know? Yeah, ain't mean doesn't, pretty much, yeah. Ain't means. So yeah, so it just fits so weird in context. But yeah, that's exactly what it means. Yeah, you're checking a lot of boxes with it. And I think that's where like because so many different tasks can fit in a lot of different boxes, it gets hard to like do your mental taxes, so to speak, you know. But like, enjoy. This is made out of work. Stripped powdery posts, stripped oak wood, stripped oak logs. Yes, it is. Sad to see the amount of bots in general, but yeah, you just kind of deal. I don't really have it's soon, you know, taking it day by day. I think, you know, to be where I am now is pretty okay, but like that's definitely something I want to progress with. It's just like get up my filtering. So there's not so much of an issue for quality of life. Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't know. It's definitely food for thought. I think I struggle in that regard. You know, when does like because I can read for 18 hours straight, and like reading overtly isn't wrong, but like 18 hours, well, that's an addiction. And I do know, like for me, reading is, you know, it takes place of things I was addicted to. Um, so like, of course, an addiction will beget another addiction because they say like you don't ever really get rid of addiction as a whole. You just replace it with something. Um, and so it's like fighting that battle. It's a never-ending battle. Like balancing oneself, you know, balancing the things that be your activities and are you being productive and what does productivity look like to you? Is it measurable? I think that's another thing of being able to not so much describe that the use case for yourself, but or to others, but like at least you need to know that like the thing that you are doing and how you are spending your time does indeed benefit you. If it doesn't, not being afraid to switch it up. You know, ask yourself those questions and to do the shadow work. And I guess as a lead in, like, yeah, shadow work, like, that's such a deep thing in and of itself. You know, it's a scary sounding, you know, phrasing to like something that like we all should really be partaking in. Ooh, yeah. The quality or quantity of time spent, like, you know, and measuring those things, you know, what does quality of life mean to you? What is your return on investment? Because that's where you spend your time. You are spending your time, right? I think that was also on my list. What does it mean to spend time? What does it mean to pay attention? That means you're giving something for something, right? An exchange. And it's up to you to recognize whether or not that exchange is actually beneficial. Are you getting a return or are you in a deficit? You know, when you start to kind of quantify these things or qualify these things into quantifiers of like, we all get on a certain level uh, money and numbers, right? The logic behind it. But like we do speak, you know, in such a way that it can, you know, overlap. So where are you paying attention? You know, where are you spending time? And have you gotten any returns on that? Like what have you received? And if nothing, I'm not saying everything has to yield a return. I think that's where hobbies and things you enjoy come in. Like, you know, it doesn't always have to be so black and white. But like on a certain level, I would hope that it is for you. You are getting some return. And going within yourself to figure that out. What does quality of life look like to you? And are you overspending? Are you living a life or are you just alive? You know, and I guess that's the crossroads to really be at. And then to have the courage to say it, to live in it, to ask for help if needed, and to not bottle it up and like pretend it doesn't exist. Because I think we definitely have a tendency to like play make believe that, oh, I'm okay, or oh, it's okay. You know, I hear that often even from myself. Oh, it's okay. Oh, it's okay. Is it really? No, I don't think it does either. No denotative meaning. You know, I think I think it's a very connotative word. What does it mean to you? Yeah, exactly. It's very much so self-defined. And I think it should always be that way. It should always be self-defined. And that on a certain level, we shouldn't be afraid to share that definition with others, you know, to inspire, not so much to change their perspective, maybe to, you know, enhance our own perspective, the perspective of the collective. I think there are, you know, plenty of people who will glean, you know, inspiration from the innocuous. I think that's, you know, part of the reason why pop art is a thing, or what is it, modernist art, where like a urinal can be center mass of a room, and that is art because it is, right? When you look into it, um, you know, it's innocuous. It's a thing that we all look over, we all have. I think those things are the things that we should look into more and talk about, and not so much pick it apart, but just converse. Because maybe what you saw isn't what I saw. And maybe we can find some, you know, good speak about that overlap. Clumsy me. Thank you. I'm human. I have my good days and my bad. And doing my best to balance those out. Truly appreciate your time and presence. You know? Thanks for paying attention. Mm-hmm. And likewise, honestly, you know, good company and good conversation can be hard to find. It's a good trait to have. A lost art form, even. Oh yeah, I appreciate that. It's funny, I took etiquette classes when I was younger. Hated it. Like hated it. Was not for me. Um but you know, it taught. Um so I guess that just kind of reminded me of uh of those little lessons, you know, how to hold a fork, how to be in public, you know, etc. and so forth. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a part of the whole white wigging. You can only be seen as having intelligence or intellect or manners by masquerading, by playing as a part of the play, or you know, it is a weird concept as a whole, you know. And I love that people are actually pushing back on that, you know. I don't have to abide by your rules to be seen as a um, intelligent person. Let's do some light sorting. So I'll keep a stack of these. Why not keep those extra ones, that's fine. See, that's an interesting thing. You know, the things people can be sticklers about, especially when it comes to, like, again, benign, like, why is that the hill that you're deciding to die on? Yeah. And I mean, I guess, you know, because, like, I get it. How you express yourself, articulate yourself, is how you will be perceived. But, like, broadening your horizon to accept other perspectives and start points, not necessarily confining people to only be, or confining people to a strict metric, if that makes sense what I'm saying. Because, like, when it comes to speaking English, you have so many different interpretations and dialects, and they're all valid. And to, like, try and hold one way of communicating more superior over another, you're just really demeaning the whole art of communication. Yeah, and I mean, I went through the same thing with my mom. She was very much so a stickler on, you know, instead of saying may I would, you know, say can I, and I'd always get back in return, yes, you can. But, like, or I guess, like, sarcastically, can you, right? And it's like, okay, as a correction to say, well, may I, and, like, it's just interesting, you know. And I mean, I get it now, it sticks in my head, you know, but it is definitely one of those things of, like, you understood me, you knew what I was saying. So I do love, you know, just poking fun at my mom, you know, in that regard. But because, like, now, you know, as people progress, you know, once a man, twice a child. And so just seeing those slips is a little minor get back. Nothing as crazy as, like, yeah, for what you did to me as a kid, straight to the nursing home. Nothing like that, but I guess in a way, very close. Can I make a backpack? I don't know if that's in here. Backpack. Ooh. Does it matter what ingot? String and leather. I can't do it yet, I don't think, because I don't have any leather. Yeah. I don't really have a way to get leather either. Wearing a whole suit of leather. So I have torches. I need to get some better tools. I mean, I know, right? Straight to the nursing home. I mean, but honestly, there's a, I don't want to say a resurgence. There is, like, a outpouring of that mentality. And I can't say I blame them. I understand it happened. It's happening for a reason. Where, you know, kids are saying, or young adults are saying, you didn't take care of me properly as a child. Therefore, why would I venture to take care of you as an elderly who is effectively a child? Like, I'm not going to. I don't want to be bothered with the trauma, being reminded of the trauma by taking care of you. And I don't want the responsibility like you showed me you didn't want that responsibility, which is, like, why it's so important to, like, treat your kids and loved ones in general in the world with better care and attention. That whole treat others like you want to be treated is so real. And I think this new generation, these YNs, you know, or like just, I don't know, the youth in general, we have a real streak of get back. Like, I'm going to get my get back, irregardless. Like, I'm not going to lose. I may be down today, but tomorrow I will show you. And, like, I think people really need to be careful with that. Like, but it's very real. You know, why should you take care of someone who didn't want to take care of you? Why should you give them that time and attention? Why force yourself? I mean, because it's the just thing to do. Well, wouldn't it have been just for them to care for you properly? You know, to allow you to grow into who you were supposed to grow into, minus the trauma. Yeah, you know, that guilt does start to become very burdensome. And I mean, you know, give grace in that regard. Um, you know, I don't necessarily stand by the whole different generation, you know, but it is a true thing that like they didn't always talk about their feelings. So they didn't really know how to process them. But as you get older and as you slow down, you do have a lot more time to think. And then as we as the children get older, we are able to communicate more because now my safety and well-being isn't so tethered to this person. So I can tell you straight up, I don't like what you just did. I've never liked that. Actually, I got a list of things to talk about. And even if that never happens, just that slowing down process and talking to others and seeing this broader access to information, you start to see that like I was kind of shitty, you know, and then also the guilt of like, I was kind of shitty, you know, what do you do with that? And then also wanting to be taken care of. No one wants to necessarily be on their own. And then after a certain level, you can't be, you know, you can't always take care of yourself. And, you know, being faced with that mortality, basically. And it's wild, you know, I think to experience that and like, are you going to hold that grudge or are you going to give space for them to be human? And I think that's ultimately, you know, up to the person. Like, are you still offended by that betrayal? Have you forgiven that betrayal? I was watching the show, The Pit. I believe it's on Hulu. Um, and I shouldn't have watched it. I shouldn't have watched it because it's super good. But and all the episodes are now. That's why I shouldn't have watched it. But I'm a binge watcher. But one of the concepts in there's a an older man dying, and his kids aren't ready to let him go, and you know the doctor tells them, you know, there are four things that you need to be able to say or that he's seen that has helped people, and it is saying thank you, saying I'm sorry, saying I love you, or what is it? It's saying I love you, saying thank you, saying I'm sorry, and saying I forgive you and hope you forgive me, or something in that regards. Um, I think those are like strong concepts to remember, but like it's also goes in line with like don't give people their flowers when they're dead. Like tell them, communicate.